Today we're speedrunning Little Nightmares. We start our adventure with Six, a young heroine who wakes up in total darkness with nothing but a lighter. Very early on there's a super important mechanic that the game never really explains. 6 hidden stamina. Basically we have about 100 stamina points. When you sprint it drains, and if you drop below 10 points, 6 gets exhausted and becomes way slower. Except in ventilation shaft. Here I can hold the sprint button without consuming any stamina. As a result, even while crouching, I get a free speed boost. And given the number of vents in this game, it's a risk-free time saver. I move through a few hallways until I reach a room with a chair in the middle. Oh, there's also a hanging guide too, but let's not ask any questions. Normally the game wants you to use this chair to progress, but we're going to completely ignore that. Instead we do a well-timed jump onto the plank next to the door, which keeps the entire sequence. You'll see later that some techniques save way more time, but for now we climbed onto this fridge to perform a speed tech called the Zero Hop. Remember the stamina? I'm going to intentionally drop it to 0 by chain jumping. Jumping uses more stamina than running, but if I time my jumps perfectly, I can drastically increase my speed. However, if I miss up one jump, all momentum is lost. Next, I flip the lever, clear a plank, and after 2 jumps, I fall into some nasty liquid that slows us down. But the jump right before helps me land closer to the edge to lose as little time as possible. This area is a prime example of stamina management. Instead of spamming jumps, I only do a few crucial ones to keep enough stamina for the crank. Because if 6 is too tired, her jump becomes super short and we want to avoid that at all costs. When I get to the door, I slide, and as soon as I see the saving icon in the bottom right, I reload the checkpoint. This immediately spawns me ahead. From there, I just sprint to the rope, open the door, and use the toilet paper rolls to reach the handle. Now we're arriving at a massive and highly technical skip. I grab the small blocks, move toward the next door, and by backing up at the perfect spot while rapidly pressing grab and slide simultaneously, I trigger a super slide. This launches me right into the middle of the room, saving a ton of time because we completely skip the highest rotation cycle, no waiting required. I pass the bedrooms, enter a vent, and finally reach a new room. Here I have to perform the hunger skip. By making 6 stumble at the precise moments, I can bypass the hunger animations, which last several seconds each. For the second animation, I just have to grab the back wall, but for the third one, we are forced to sit through it. There are several moments in Little Nightmares where 6 gets starving hungry, so this hunger skip is incredibly useful, saving a solid 4 to 5 minutes overall. The bars ahead of me are electrified, so I'm forced to climb the cages in the background to find a lever at the top to cut the power. Another huge skip here. Instead of bothering to go left, I head right and slide onto a box. Here I have to manually look down because the camera completely fails to track, and while holding the camera angle, I try to drop down without taking a fatal fall. I can navigate in the dark because I know the layout by heart, and thanks to this skip, I drop straight back to the bars. Now I just avoid the eye, and that's the end of chapter 1. At the start of chapter 2, I arrive in a large room full of stairs. Not much to do here except climb. Apparently hugging the wall makes 6 go slightly faster, but that's about it. Once at the top, when I reach the sink, I can make an arc movement to jump directly onto the shelf, letting me grab the key faster. I drop down and try to orient myself so that the key lands as close as possible to the wall I need to push. Then I open the door and use the toy monkey to call the elevator. When I reach the bottom, there's another hunger skip. A bit trickier regarding where to fall exactly, but it's the same principle. I can stumble 3 times to avoid animation that last about 10 seconds each. The first skip hits, the second 2, and even the third one, which is really tight. I move forward into a cage where, of course, we get trapped. I wake up inside it and rock it back and forth quickly to knock it down. Then I use another cage with a trap boy inside to help me open the door. I just climb up and keep moving normally. I enter a creepy room, and this is where we truly meet the janitor. This guy is terrifying, and his main strength is his long arms. He can catch you easily, but thanks to jumps making me faster than normal, I managed to outrun him instantly. Since he didn't have time to follow me, he won't open the door, giving me plenty of time to grab the handle, turn the crank, and drop into the vent. At the end of the vent, I land in the shoe room. Not much to do here except jump as far as possible to reach the suitcases. Walking in the pile of shoes slows me down heavily, so I try to avoid it at all costs. I continue through the vents, the janitor finds me and hunts me, but I manage to hide. This boss's weakness is that he's blind. If I make no noise, I'm safe. I just wait in the elevator, and he diverts his attention to a gnome. A neat little skip here. If I jump right where the monkey toy is, it pushes the plank forward. Normally you have to move a crate. Once again I run into my buddy the janitor, then climb all the way up into another vent. In the next room, he is still looking for me, so I crouch and grab one of the folding shoes to quickly open the door. I just need to jump to outrun him and reach a room filled with books. I climb to the top and jump onto the hanging piano. Instead of letting the janitor pass first, I jump right over his right shoulder. He doesn't have time to spot me, giving me the perfect opening to rush into the next room to find a handle and TV. Turning on the television distracts him, allowing me to sneak past and leave with the handle. I use it to raise the piano and jump onto it at the right moment. I push forward a bit because there isn't much to do. Arriving in a new vent, I jump over the janitor's end at the perfect timing and keep going. Near the end of the chapter, the janitor goes all out to grab me. But if I stay still, I can bait his grab, dodge it by jumping and outrun him into the next room where I need to pull the bars off the cage holding the door. I pull the first bar quickly and pulling the second one chops his arm off. I just climb up and that's the end of chapter 2. Right at the start of chapter 3, I have another hunger skip to do. The first one is a bit tricky. You have to crouch and drop down to avoid the animation. The second one is easier. We use the same technique as before, tapping the forward key repeatedly to stumble. There I do it twice just in case. And for the third one, the fastest way is to try and jump as far as possible. But the animation triggers randomly, so it saves more or less time depending on luck. I move forward and find myself in the kitchens. There are chefs who want to throw us into the pot, so we must avoid getting caught at all costs. Now I'm going to do what we call the kitchen skip, which is the coolest and hardest trick in the run. I position myself on this specific tile and wait for the chef to face me. Using visual cues, I slide right when he tries to grab me. This dodges his hand and pins me against the wall. If the positioning is right, the chef turns around and his massive belly launches me straight through the wall into the next room. It took me a long time to master this technique, but it saved an insane amount of time. In the next room, I grab the meat pieces at the top, drop back down to make a sausage and head into the next vent. I move forward and when calling the elevator, a second chefs arrive. I position myself to the left and reuse my slide tech to glitch through his belly once again. Alright, I didn't show it in the video, but I got caught twice before this, which cost me a good minute or two. Let's keep going toward the next kitchen. But instead of going right and having to activate a lever at the very back of the room, I climb the shelf at the beginning because there's another super skip here. And this one is really easy. Normally you come here to light a lantern for achievements, but I'm interested in the hook. If I jump right as it passes, I can grab it and I will respawn with it all the way at the end of the next room. Huge time saver. I just drop down, dodge the chefs and take one last hook to close out chapter 3. I finally see a glimmer of hope as I cross this massive pipe because I can see sunlight at the end. I time my jumps perfectly to maintain maximum speed and I finally make it outside. Except that there's only a chain waiting for me. No choice, I have to climb to the top. I also see tons of guests boarding the ship, which is a bit weird, but anyway, I head back inside. I keep moving and see the guests lining up while a strange lady watches them from above. I traverse several hallways where I see the guests gorging themselves on food. The further we get into the game, the more we realize it's human meat they're eating. But whatever, my goal is to escape, so I ignore all of that and keep pushing. I climb a stack of plates and jump right over a guest who wants to eat me. I get on the table, avoiding the guest, trying to grab me, and land in front of one crawling toward me. To bypass him, I bait his grab and jump right as he lunges. I squeeze past him before he can react. Right after, we have another nice skip. When the elevator arrives, one of the chefs finds me. But if I hug the wall to the right and wait for him to charge at me, I can jump into the elevator at the exact same time. He is left standing there like a total loser watching me go up. Next comes a chase sequence with dozens of guests wanting a piece of me. Not much to do except sprint to the end and watch one fall over for the meme. Time for the new and final hunger skip. I mess up the first one, but I hit the second one at the third. Right after, we get 6's darkest moment where she eats a gnome instead of the sausage. Super bleak, but the run must go on. Here, instead of dropping down, I can balance on the railing, which allows me to jump straight onto the ladder and go faster. Doing this lets me enter the elevator at the exact same time as the lady, which normally isn't possible. We arrive in the final phase of the game. It's dead silent and pretty creepy. I climb up to reach the lady's quarters. I need to crouch so she doesn't spot me, but when I get next to her bed, I have to smash a vase, and I know she heard it. I grab the key, sprint back down the stairs and unlock the door. The lady pulls on me a classic horror movie move, appearing out of nowhere to chase me, and finally I end up in a large room full of mannequins. Right next to them is a mirror, which will serve as my primary weapon against her. The boss fight is very straightforward, and from this point on there are no more speedrun tricks. I just wait for her to appear, flash the mirror in her face, she falls to the ground, and we repeat this a few times until she goes down for good. And that is where the timer stops. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe for the next speedruns. See ya!